That's rather dramatic. You would actually sell Alphabet now?
Good to see you, Scott. I am actually already decided that I am going to sell Google. I mean, Alphabet, I guess. I am only waiting for earnings next week because I imagine next week Microsoft and Alphabet are going to be artificially bought up into earnings being sort of mediocre to decent. But I was very, very surprised to hear Sundar Pichai sound so cautious and maybe even negative on the potential of AI. A large part of the job of the CEO is messaging and storytelling, and so I just don't get it, especially since internally you even have folks who are so heavily invested in AI that you need to be keeping in those seats so that you keep that talent where it is.
Sure.
And instead, Sundar Pichai is out on this media campaign telling folks to beware in the doom and gloom aspects of AI.
I mean, I think there are many people who are out there talking, of course, about the promise, but also about the potential societal pitfalls of it, though we know that Alphabet's just not going to cede the tremendous lead in market share and search that they have to Microsoft or anything else. So in some respects, follow what they do, not necessarily what they say. And as I said, he is certainly not the only person of stature who is out there talking about some of the risks around AI.
So to be clear, I do think the potential for things to go wrong here is a real concern, right? I completely agree with Sundar's comments about the dangers of things like disinformation and fake news and stolen art violating copyrights and everything else. But to me, as the lead dog in the space, right, since Google has been doing AI research for years and their DeepMind lab is widely considered to be one of the best in AI research globally, they need to be in the driver's seat on this and set the tone. And I just feel like if harming society is truly Pichai's concern and that's the thing keeping him up at night, it would make more sense to be trying to position Google as the arbiter and the rules maker in this thing, generative AI, given its ubiquity and its first mover advantage, rather than trying to cast a cloud over the whole thing, because the ship has already sailed. That 6-month pause that Elon Musk and everyone else was calling for is never going to happen.
You know, since you're referencing it, let's listen to what he actually said on 60 Minutes regarding this issue, and we can continue the conversation on the other side.
Do you think society is prepared for what's coming?
On one hand, I feel no, because, the pace at which we can think and adapt as societal institutions compared to the pace at which the technology is evolving, there seems to be a mismatch. On the other hand, compared to any other technology, I've seen more people worried about it earlier in its life cycle. So I feel optimistic.
I mean, that doesn't sound like somebody who's willing to cede anything. It's just making sure our eyes are wide open.
Can I draw a comparison, though, to his chief competitor over at Microsoft, Satya Nadella, who anytime someone asks him a question about anything, really, in public, his answer somehow finds a way to track back to ChatGPT and just how giddy he is to talk about the opportunity that's in front of Microsoft when they think about things like generative AI. And so I just feel like Microsoft doesn't even have to win this arms race in AI. They just have to continue to be a thorn in the side of Alphabet, who is, again, the first mover in the space. And I feel like Google/Alphabet is going to be continuously distracted and continuously trying to catch up in this AI arms race, which is really what Microsoft wants, because for every 1 percentage point of market share that Microsoft can take away from Google in the search wars, that's like $2 billion, I believe, using Microsoft's math, of opportunity of revenue gain for Microsoft that they take away from Google. And so while they're busy trying to protect their flank and busy trying to keep up, at least in the conversation with Microsoft, all Microsoft has to do is hang around being an annoyance, and that keeps Google from overtaking them in this particular race that they're in.
I mean, Morgan Stanley doesn't share your concerns in any way. They have a note out today, How AI Can Drive Upside. That's the title. They reiterate their overweight rating, 135 is the price target, a good 25% higher from here. They talk about paid search, online advertising, using its reach, data sets, and AI tools. Base case, they take revenue growth numbers up. They're extraordinarily optimistic, despite some of the concerns that you have expressed during this interview.
I read that too, Scott, and I think they're wrong. I think if Google were to lean too far into the generative AI search trend, it would cannibalize too much of their core business, right? Search is their only real business. Even the products they've developed are all built around getting you and I to the search bar quicker than on their competitors' devices. And that's worrisome for me, because if they were to make a real pivot toward incorporating a chatbot feature with one singular answer to your search query, it would be the equivalent of Facebook going fully mobile back in 2014, when all of us were throwing slings and arrows at Mark Zuckerberg and saying this guy's crazy. And I don't think that Google / Alphabet has the time to pull that off and be able to say, see, we told you so. We told you we had something in the works. Because the way that AI and the technology and the companies that are being created now on top of the ChatGPT-4 technology and whatever will come later, the way that that is moving doesn't give Alphabet enough time to be trying to figure out how to play both sides at the same time.